All right, guys, welcome to the show. This is going to be a unique episode. If you're listening, I would recommend going to check out YouTube because I went to great lengths to set up a very complicated little setup here and did a live Good Morning America style taste test thing with Heather from Heather's Choice. So basically, Heather rebranded. Got all new packaging for stuff, but more than that, she got all new recipes. I think there's a few of her recipes that she kept, but almost completely all reworked all her recipes. And there's some really good, some new options that she put out. So Heather's one of the people that I've kind of known the longest in the industry, which hasn't been that long, but she's a great business woman and entrepreneur, and so this one, I have her live on Zoom, and I'm recording her as well, and I edited it together really nice, and I'm actually going to be trying these new Heather's Choice recipes kind of live with Heather, and she's telling me about the different recipes, and we also talk about the rebranding process and how she put together these recipes and how she picked them. Heather's Choice is a partner. You can use the code QUEST and save money at Heather's Choice, and which will also help support the show. But more than that, I just really believe in the company. It's really high quality, intentionally sourced food, and it's really good if you care about nutrition and properly fueling yourself in the backcountry and eating well. I definitely would recommend Heather's Choice. It's all gluten-free. She doesn't use any seed oils. It's lower in sodium, high in protein, and just tasty, kind of unique meals. Then she also added some more kind of comfort food type dishes to her lineup. So definitely check out Heather's Choice. It's great stuff, and use that code QUEST. You will support the show, and you will save money, and I would definitely appreciate it. Oh, and one other thing I wanted to mention too, Heather, she makes small batches. She's not a ginormous food company that's just pumping out stuff out of a huge factory. They dehydrate the stuff in her factory there in Alaska, and so, a lot of times as we get closer in towards the season, her stuff will start to sell out and can be hard to find. So if you are interested in trying Heather's Choice, or if you are a Heather's Choice customer and you want to get some meals for this upcoming season, I recommend you do it, and do it now, and get everything you need for the season, because there's a really good chance that as we roll into September, October, it's going to be harder and harder to find her meals. So stock up now while you can, and use that code QUEST. So, yeah, like I was just saying, this is the most complicated thing I've ever done. I feel like I need an engineering degree, but I got it all set up, and I think we're good to go. I'm recording on 2 cameras here. I got you on the monitor, recording on Zoom, so that's going to turn out pretty cool.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks for doing all the legwork. All I have to do is show up and talk.
Yeah, and have a cool-looking office background. At least you got that part, because a lot of people don't even they'll have their camera pointing up their nose and just so anyway. But yeah, guys, I'm here with Heather from Heather's Choice, one of my kind of oldest friends in the industry, and she's got a whole bunch of new products and stuff. So I wanted to get her on and hear about everything. So before we do that, what have you been up to? I know the Alaskan summer is what you guys live for. So what have you been up to?
Oh my gosh. Yeah. It's the most wonderful time of the year. We are actually packing up this weekend and going dip netting. And
Oh, nice.
for people who don't know what dip netting is, we basically take these 4-foot nets, and there's going to be 2 of us fishing from a boat, and you can get 25 sockeye per head of household, and then 10 per family member.
Nice.
So Brad and I are going to bring home 35 salmon this weekend, and everything goes to plan.
So the salmon, are they just starting to kind of run? Or they been running, or what's up with that?
Yeah, I feel like, and I'm not an expert in this, but I feel like come late May, early June, you'll get some species of salmon that start swimming, and you can catch them all the way through August, depending on what type you're chasing. So we're going for sockeyes right now, and then we'll probably get some silver salmon in August, and then September we'll be
Awesome.
moose hunting and, just trying to fill that freezer, doing the
Okay.
Alaska thing.
So you're going hunting this year, okay? Is that right?
Yeah, we
Okay.
we get the most ridiculous, opportunities. Like we have friends up here that are pilots, obviously, because
Yeah.
everybody in Alaska has their pilot's license. And so they're gonna do a fly-in float moose hunt. And of course, we got an opportunity to go. So it'll probably cost us, the cost of bringing some Heather's Choice food with us, and that's about it. So we're just
That's amazing.
infinitely spoiled.
So back to the salmon though. So I know one of your like most popular dishes, one of my favorite ones is the salmon chowder. And you guys source that in Alaska, right?
Yeah, so where we're going fishing this weekend is south on the Kenai, and that's also where we get our sockeye salmon for Heather's Choice is from
Nice.
the Ninilchik area. And yeah, it's going to be basically the same fish that we're catching
Sweet.
for our own home use is what we end up using
And
for
probably plenty of
commercially.
bears out there, huh?
Yeah, definitely no shortage.
Um, so yeah, that's cool about the moose trip. That's gonna be awesome. My buddy Ned from the Kodiak film, that is one of my hunting partners. He got a job recently with the Air National Guard up there, flying. So he's still like in the process of going through all his health evaluations and stuff. But like it seems like, Lord willing, I should have a friend in Alaska that can fly, and he's gonna buy a Cub. He's saying, like the second he gets there. So I'll have a pilot
Smart
friend in
man.
Alaska in the next like year or two, hopefully.
Yeah, those are great friends to have.
Absolutely. So like instead of waiting 3 years and paying thousands of dollars to go hunt caribou, hopefully I can just like, hey Ned, you want to go on a little trip, and we can just boop and go caribou hunting.
I know. We got an invite to go on a fly-in caribou hunt this year, and who invited us was like, "Oh yeah, I know it's $3,500 a person." And Brad and I were just like, "No, no, no,
Yeah.
no. We don't pay to go hunting ever."
Well, you guys are lucky up there. Us down here in the lower 48, it's a little more of a logistical thing. But speaking of logistics, man, I've just been planning all my fall hunts, and man, coming from Virginia, like you can't just jump in your truck. It's a whole like it's real.
Yeah, it's a whole thing where you are.
Yeah. But anyway, we're getting there. So I do want to talk just a little bit about, obviously if people are used to seeing your stuff, you got really cool new packaging on everything and some new recipes. So I just want to like start off like, okay, so I also like, I already added my water to
I
these
can
about
see
10
that.
minutes ago. So we're ready. They'll be ready in like 5 minutes. So, but Heather Shorts is already doing really well, successful, and even to the point where we talked before about one of your biggest challenges is just getting product, because your bottleneck is the not the freeze drying, the dehydrating process that you do. So why doing new stuff is hard. It takes effort. And it's not just new packaging. You got a whole bunch of new recipes. So, like, why do new stuff?
Yeah, it's a great question. I almost killed everybody last fall when I was like, okay, so we're going to completely rebrand and we're going to launch 7 new SKUs and like ready, set, go. Like, I can't believe that everybody didn't just walk out on me. At the end of 2020, I believe it was, we actually did what I consider to be maybe the best marketing push we've ever done. And in the wintertime, our business slows down quite a bit, right? Because less people are going out on these big epic trips,
Mm-hmm.
specifically for hunting. And when I had a whole staff of people, and we weren't needing to produce a ton of stuff, it was like, man, what can I do to like keep everybody busy, keep them working,
Yeah.
but not producing product? And so wherever this idea came from, we decided to print off a list of our 250 top customers. And then
Mm-hmm.
I gave everybody on my team a call list and said, you're going to call these customers and say, hey, my name is Mike. I'm one of the production assistants here at Heather's Choice.
Yeah.
Congrats on being one of our top customers. I want to ask you 3 quick questions. Favorite Heather's Choice product and why? Least favorite Heather's Choice product and why? And then what do you want to see from us in the new year?
Okay.
And consistently from these 250 people that we cold called and, just kind of solicited their feedback, everybody wanted new products. Just
Okay.
across the board. And it
I'm
wasn't
curious,
just
what were the
meals.
favorites and the least favorites?
Ooh, favorites like bison chili all day, every day.
Uh-huh.
Blueberry almond packaroons usually rank pretty freaking high, especially blueberry almond black espresso. Those do really well. And then least favorites were the products that we discontinued, right? So we got rid of spice cocoa packaroons, cherry cocoa nib
Oh, I love
breakfast.
those.
I know. You were one
Anyway.
of 10 people that bought them. So, yeah,
Okay.
so it was just really fun to
As
actually
long as you
take
don't
the
get rid of the
feedback.
mint chocolate ones, we're good.
Yeah, they're not going anywhere.
Okay, good. So yeah, what was that process like? I mean, first of all, I want to hear quickly like what was like, rebranding because that's a pain in the butt. And then
Yeah,
like I want to hear a little bit about like how you develop and pick new recipes.
totally. So the reason that the rebrand I felt like it needed to happen is one, I really wanted kind of that iconic symbol, right? Like I can look at your shirt and say like it's a Go Hunt shirt, even though it's artistic and all of that, like I can just see from here like
Yeah.
boom, it's Go Hunt.
Mm-hmm.
And I really wanted that for Heather's Choice, and we didn't have that. So that sort of catapulted me into this whole creative process of coming up with our new mascot, which is now the Arctic Fox.
Yep.
Uh, very like, modern, artistic, creative, new icon for us. And then also the thing that we bump up against is as a food product, most people buy food at the store,
Mm-hmm.
right? And people make those food buying decisions from 5 feet away in 5 seconds time.
Yeah.
And so the packaging
Packaging
really
is
needed to
huge in food.
communicate, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think our previous packaging, like it was gorgeous. It was very artistic.
Yeah, it's
It
clean.
had a lot of meaning, totally. But this new packaging, my intention with it was to be like, bam, like it's a
Yeah.
little bit
Eye-catching.
punkier, a little more in your face. And I wanted to illustrate some of like the key ingredients. So, like
Mm-hmm.
the African peanut stew, having that peanut plant on it, I think is kind
Mm-hmm.
of interesting because not everybody knows that like what peanuts look like before they're in peanut butter form.
Oh yeah. Virginia is really we have tons of peanut farms here.
Oh, really?
Side note, yeah, it's one of like the famous Virginia crops. But so did you work with the artist on this, or did you kind of help develop it, or how'd you do that?
Yeah, so I interviewed about 3 different designers, just
Yeah,
good
because that's a
business rule of
scary
thumb.
process.
Right.
Like you said, packaging is so big, branding is so big. I think it's super smart to go with, like you said, like an icon, like just a symbol that people can see and identify with you. Because Heather's Choice, you don't always want to just write that whole thing on everything. And I did the same thing with kind of that Q on the Quest part of my logo, and that's really smart. So, but that's scary because you're kind of trusting someone else, and there's also like usually a lot of back and forth, and you want like your artistic vision to be in there, but at the same time you want to like get a professional in there. So like what was that like?
Yeah, it was a lot of back and forth. I would say the whole process in total took about 2 years. So
Wow.
just to put into
That's crazy.
context of like my back of the napkin drawing of the fox to what it became. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
2 year process. We ended up working with Elias Carlson, who is the graphic designer for the Modern Huntsman. And I
Okay.
cannot say enough good things about Elias and getting to work with him. When we wrapped up this project, he said to me, you did a great job on the creative direction for this. And I was like, oh, I was the creative director. Like I actually did like have a really clear vision of what I wanted, helped pick out the
Mm-hmm.
illustrations, the colors, all of that. And working with Elias was just so great because he
Yeah.
brings all the skill of actually being able to make this stuff.
Right. But at the end of the
and
day, it's you and your voice. And that's something that my dad said to me when I was looking at kind of rebranding from just like the random like little logo I made on Canva. Like, you want to work with these professionals and you want to get their input because they do know what they're talking about. But at the same time, at the end of the day, it's your thing, right? And it's like, you have to be happy with it. You're in control. Like that's, they're great and that's their job and they care about their job. But at the same time, it's just a job for you. This is you, this is your thing. This is your baby. So a lot of people I think get kind of like, almost intimidated, like, well, he's a professional, I'll just do what he says.
Right.
But no, they are there to kind of bring your vision to life, right?
Totally. Yeah. And Elias was very graceful with all of my feedback because, again, even the logo design, that took a lot of iterations before we got to something that was like, yes, I want to put this all over everything,
Yeah,
right? I want it on hats. I want it on neon signs. I want it on coffee mugs. I want it everywhere.
yeah,
Yeah, it was
awesome.
quite a project, but I'm really happy with how it all turned out.
Yeah, for sure. And then, so just tell me, I'm sure it's a long process, but like, how did you start to identify new like menu options and like developing recipes and all that? And like, how involved are you in that whole thing?
Yeah, this is also really fun and kind of points to how small our business really is. So all of the Heather's Choice meals, I kid you not, typically are inspired by meals that I make at home enough times that I'm like, you know what? I think we can put this in a bag, right? Like I've made
Nice.
shepherd's pie at home hundreds of times for Brad and I. And then we got super lucky that one of our team members, Brittany, who's been working with us for about a year and a half now, she has a culinary background. And I just latched onto her and was like, Brittany, I have the concepts for these recipes. Like, I want a morning glory oatmeal. I want a Swiss muesli. I want a shepherd's pie. But
Mm-hmm.
you actually having this like professional training in food, like,
Yeah.
I need your help actually developing and scaling these recipes. So, pretty much every weekend in October and November, I would leave my house, go pick up Brittany. We'd go get coffees. We'd come to the kitchen. We would make, little 8 serving batches of food
Mm-hmm.
and tweak and tweak and tweak and tweak to the point that we were like, okay, we like it in this 8 serving size. Now let's make a 50 batch and then let's make 150. And it literally
Nice.
happened over the weekend during the fall in Alaska that we managed to develop and scale these recipes.
Awesome.
I'm ready for launch.
That's amazing. Okay. Um, all right. So I didn't use all of them that you sent me because I just wanted to focus on these ones for whatever reason. And I'm already kind of sad because I feel like I'm going to be wasting a little bit of food, but it's okay.
You have lunch for the next 5 days. Don't forget that.
That's true. So can you like heat them later?
Oh, yeah. Like you can put that stuff in the fridge and put it in a bowl tomorrow and heat it up
Okay.
in a pan or a microwave and it will be dynamite.
All right. Good to know. Good to know. That's another thing I didn't even think of. Well, that's awesome then. All right. So which one of these should I try first? Because it's actually dinner time here and I'm starving.
Oh, good. That spinach curry with chicken has been,
Okay.
people have been bonkers for it. So if you like
Okay.
Indian food, I'd start there.
One detail I did not think about was this tiny mic in front of my mouth while I'm eating, so I'm gonna try to negotiate that. But other than that, I'll go
That's
ahead.
okay. We can
So
pretend we're
while
on a
I'm
talk show and I will
yeah,
just,
Good Morning
narrate while you
America.
eat.
While I'm trying this, go ahead if you would. So like while I'm chewing, tell me like a little bit about this specific one right here.
Yeah, totally. So the spinach curry with chicken and rice is really similar to an Indian sog. So if you've ever eaten Indian food before, then you've maybe had sog, which is a spinach-based curry. It's really green and vibrant. We could not call it sog per USDA requirements because 99% of people don't know what sog is. And so we had to go back and forth with the USDA to land on spinach curry to describe what it is. And that recipe starts with a whole bunch of grass-fed ghee. So it's a
It's good.
clarified butter. And we cook that with ginger and garlic and, a bunch of turmeric and garam masala and spices. And it gets mixed in with a truckload of spinach. And we make this just killer spinach curry sauce that
Yeah, it's
goes
good.
with organic chicken and
It's got a
rice.
it's got a little bit of spice, but not too much.
Totally.
And
Totally.
you can tell it's got a lot of chicken in it. And it almost tastes like if you've ever had like a samosa, like an Indian samosa, it almost
Yeah.
tastes like the inside of a samosa.
Yep.
It's
Exactly.
really good.
Yeah. So people have been crazy about that one. That is one that I've been reaching for lunchtime because it has plenty of rice, it has tons of chicken. It's just really filling, and I'm really, really
Mm-hmm.
happy with how that meal turned out.
And I don't know if it's just because I like actually gave these the like actual amount of time you're supposed to give it, but the rice is like it doesn't have that like crunchy, like I guess the freeze dried rice sometimes has that kind of crunchiness to it, but the rice is actually cooked really well in there. So
Yeah,
that's really good.
that was a whole thing too of just even picking out the type of instant rice. That was like a whole R&D process for us.
Yeah, I'm just showing the. So that one's chicken curry or no, spinach curry with chicken and rice. That's really good. Okay, I would eat that whole thing, but I want to try the rest. So which one should I go for next?
Bison chili. It's a whole new
Okay,
recipe.
I didn't even have your old one yet. The old bison chili.
People loved it, and we were just ready for something brand new. So this one is a very traditional chili recipe. It's got pinto beans, kidney beans, jalapeno. It's got some maple syrup in there just for a tad bit of sweetness. And that meal has, I want to say, like a 4 or 5 ounce serving of 100% grass-fed bison in there. So it's
Mm.
really meaty, really hearty. And that one is also, it's just a winner. And Brittany gets all the credit for developing that recipe. I gave her full creative license on it, and she knocked it out of the park.
Where is the bison? Like, do you guys get that from Alaska, or is that where's that from?
We work with a company called the Honest Bison, and to my knowledge, they source bison from all across the country, because actually grass-fed bison is in pretty flippin' high demand for a lot of different natural foods companies. We tried to get bison from Alaska, and quite honestly, we weren't able to find a rancher that was going to supply us with 12 whole animals a year.
Oh wow, 12.
Right.
Dang. That's good. Same thing. It's got a little zing to it, but not too much. Like I don't really like very spicy food, but this is like enough to where it's like good, but not too much. Like I could eat this whole thing no problem. And also like the meat. Like the first thing I noticed when I put it in my mouth was it tastes like real meat. Like it has like that. I don't even know. I almost want to say like almost like a wild game type of flavor, but not like
Totally.
gamey, obviously. But like I could tell like oh, there's like actual meat in here.
Yeah, I mean, I was cooking up bison the other night for dinner, and just even the smell of bison is different than beef, right? It's
Hmm.
very distinct, and it's flippin' delicious if you ask me.
Yeah, it's good. I should have brought some water to cleanse my palate.
Oh, you can just pretend you're
Actually,
having
I
a
have
little
some.
backcountry buffet.
Yeah, basically am. Okay, I can taste a little bit of sweetness in there too, which is good. Um, and I'm stoked. I have lunch for the next couple of days too. That's kind of nice.
Yeah,
All
pro
right,
tip.
what next? This one
Yeah, go for
or
it.
shepherd's pie? I'm kind of excited about this one. I'll try this one.
Yeah. The
This
shepherd's
is
pie,
new, right?
it's new, and I was promising people that meal for years because some of the feedback that we get on the Heather's Choice menu is that people wanted stuff that wasn't spicy. It was just a little more traditional, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
So this one is a ton of mashed potatoes that has butter powder and buttermilk powder. So the potatoes should be nice and buttery.
Mm-hmm.
And then we cook 100% grass-fed beef and mix in a bunch of veggies like corn and green beans and mushrooms, rosemary, thyme, tomato paste, and it's supposed to be just like that really delicious home cooked meal. And I imagine it's got the consistency of like mashed potatoes.
It does, and I think I may have put a little bit, not quite as much water as I should have in here, but it's still really good. I was wondering what the like the consistency, but it is mashed potatoes. Do you use
Yep.
like real like potatoes, or how do you do that?
They're just potato flakes. And so that's where, like, say, if you don't add enough water, then it's like, oh, whoa. Then it's like
It's still good.
not mushy, but like, yeah, even the salmon chowder, the same thing. If people don't add enough water, it's a freaking mouthful of potatoes. So, also pro tip, if you ever get a Heather's Choice meal that you want to add more water to, freaking add some more water and get it to the consistency that you want. But that meal is very,
That is
very
really good.
filling.
I also sometimes when I'm in the backcountry, like I'll bring some cheese with me and toss them in. Like, this is already good on its own, but I imagine if you tossed in some cheese in there, that would be pretty fire.
Oh,
But that was
especially
really
with the
good.
chili, like the chili with a little bit of cheese or the
Hmm.
mom spaghetti with some Parmesan. Yeah, here
It
for it.
definitely tastes like homemade. You know what I mean? For
Yep.
sure. Okay, let's see which one. What do we got left here?
You got spaghetti
Spaghetti
and
and
African peanut stew.
okay, which one
Very
should I try
different.
first?
Spaghetti.
Spaghetti. Okay.
I feel like shepherd's pie and African peanut stew could be conflicting flavors.
Yeah. Is this a new spaghetti recipe or this one what you had before?
It's really similar. What's different is, again, Brittany being the wizard that she is, she helped me kind of sweeten up the marinara sauce. So we now blend carrots in with the marinara sauce. So it should be a
Hmm.
little bit sweeter. We changed the process of how
Oh
we
yeah.
break up the noodles because before the noodles could like sort of disappear.
Hmm.
Because you can imagine that cooking and dehydrating 150 pounds of spaghetti noodles is kind of a whole project.
Yeah. So, and I know that you dehydrate, and a lot of companies freeze dry. What effect does that have on the end product? Because these do like I do feel like, and obviously I'm also comparing these to like a Mountain House, which is probably not the highest quality stuff compared to y'all's stuff, but like it just I noticeably it tastes like way more homemade. Does that have anything to do with the freeze drying versus dehydration?
I think it's a multitude of things. One piece that I think really like factors into it is the fact that it's dehydrated instead of freeze dried. In freeze dried food, you get a longer shelf life, so that's a bonus. You actually get it drier, so freeze drying gets rid of I think 99% of the water content. In comparison, dehydrated food, you're eliminating about 80 some odd percent of the water content. So technically, dehydrated food is a little bit heavier. However, with dehydrated food, you also get product that's more concentrated. So,
Mm-hmm.
like if you freeze dry a grape, it's still going to be about the size of a grape. Whereas if you
Right.
dehydrate a grape, you get a raisin and you
Yeah.
get more of like a dense, chewy texture, like a more concentrated flavor.
Yeah.
And I feel like dehydrated food lends itself to just tasting more like the original version, where
Yeah.
freeze dried food, in my mind, has sort of a lighter, airier texture to it. So,
Yeah, that and
yeah.
like I think with fruit, freeze drying is probably the way to go because you like it's got that crunchy like just it's almost like candy. But yeah, I mean that actually really did taste a lot like my grandma's spaghetti that she used to make, and like the noodles again, they weren't crunchy at all or like a weird consistency. Okay, I've never had this before. This is the African peanut stew. Tell me about this.
Oh my gosh. We just had this conversation yesterday here at Heather's Choice headquarters. If people don't know what something is, they don't buy it.
Yeah,
So
that's tough.
oh, it's not our best seller, but I would argue that that is the best vegetarian friendly backpacking meal on the market. It is so flippin' good. It's sweet potatoes, peanut butter, curry, ginger, Swiss chard. Uh, Fun fact, the most recent round of Swiss chard that we made had Swiss chard, or the most recent round of African peanut stew that we made at Heather's Choice had my homegrown Swiss chard in it, which I'm super proud of.
That was cool.
And we basically put about an entire jar of Adam's peanut butter in every batch of African peanut stew. So it's just this really dynamite,
Yeah.
filling, vegetarian friendly curry, and it's
Yeah,
fantastic.
it's really good. It's almost like it almost reminds me of like a Thai dish, I guess, because of the peanuts and the sweetness.
Yep, totally.
It's a little.
So yeah,
This is
there's
probably
some
the
variety.
spiciest. This is probably the spiciest one of the few. It might be a touch spicy for me personally, but I literally am like a wimp with spicy food. Like I don't even eat anything spicy. Um, okay, so the spaghetti was actually really good. The shepherd's pie. Oh man, I don't know. This was really good too. I liked all of them. I would say top three would be these. Let's see. I would say this one, shepherd's pie number one. Oh, sorry, this one, shepherd's pie number one, spaghetti number two, and the chicken or the spinach curry number three for me personally.
I dig it.
Okay, so I want to try your breakfast here too, and I know it says give them 5 full minutes, but that should be fine as we talk a little bit more. But I'm really excited to see you do oatmeal because I like the buckwheat, but I'm more of an oatmeal guy.
Yeah, the buckwheat is so polarizing. People either love it or they hate it. It's like it's not one way or the other.
It has a different texture to it, I gotta say, you know?
Totally. Yeah, it's perfect for the person looking for something that is fully grain-free, dairy-free. But oatmeal was
Okay.
one of the things that people really wanted from us. And I thought that the market had plenty of oatmeal options, but
Mm-hmm.
nope, people wanted oatmeal from us. And
How much water?
we,
6 ounces? Okay.
yeah.
I'm
Oh
just
my
guessing
gosh, they're
here.
so good.
I literally like I eat oatmeal almost every day, and like even like with old fashioned oats, like some people are like, oh, you have to boil it 5 minutes or whatever. I literally will just like pour some warm water on there and just eat them. Like I don't even care. So this will probably be fine even if we don't go the full 5 minutes. But what? Okay, what is this? What is that? How do you say it?
Muesli.
Yeah, what is that?
It's really just like a simple unsweetened oatmeal. So Swiss muesli, typically you would take oats and nuts and dried fruits, and you would actually soak it overnight with something like yogurt.
Mm-hmm.
We make ours with cranberries, pumpkin seeds. There's some
Mm,
butter powder in there and whole milk powder,
mm.
and there's a little bit of cardamom. So it's just got this really like fragrant, buttery flavor. It's freaking good. Very
That sounds good.
European.
This one smells amazing already. A summer harvest oatmeal. Okay, now like I gotta say, like you make some very like bold menu choices. Like not many people are gonna make an oatmeal with zucchini in it. At least
Right?
that I have heard of. So like, and you just said, it's hard to sell stuff people aren't used to, especially. Well, I was gonna make a redneck hunter joke, but I'm not gonna do that. But because Western hunters are not rednecks, we're very much more enlightened. Um, but yeah. So is that something that like where did you get zucchini and oatmeal? Is that something you do at home, or like is that something you saw somewhere, or where did that come from?
That one was inspired by what my employee Brooke. We were kind of, jogging our imagination of different variations of oatmeal we could do,
Uh huh.
beyond apple cinnamon, raisin, maple, like you kind of have those traditional
Right.
flavors that you would always see. And so we were like, what if you did something like a zucchini bread? And zucchini bread oatmeal as a name just didn't resonate for
Right.
anybody. And so another team member of ours, Thea, was like, what if you call it summer harvest? And it stuck.
All right,
So
we're gonna try this one first since we're talking about it. So, tell me a little about the other ingredients in here.
yeah, you probably have brown sugar, walnuts, whole milk. A lot of backcountry breakfasts are made with non-fat powdered milk. And you and I both know that fat calories are freaking delicious. They're super calorically dense, right? Like the more fat, the better. And so we went with whole milk powder in all of the new breakfast blends. And I am very pleased with how it all turned out.
This is bomb, by the way.
Yep. It's got some vanilla powder in there. But again, it should taste like, zucchini bread, which again, I don't know how many people actually eat zucchini bread, but I eat a lot of it.
Well, because zucchini is one of those things that like it grows so easily in your garden, but then you like have tons of zucchini and you're like, what do I do with this?
Yeah, that's my current status. I think I have, 15 zucchinis in the fridge that I'm like, bah, every day there's more of them.
That is really good. It's sweet, but it's not too sweet. I like
Yeah,
that.
all of those are sweetened with raw sugar, and it's just a teeny tiny amount. It's not a ton, but they're freaking good.
All right, I'm gonna try. What is this one? Morning Glory oatmeal. Maybe I should try the muesli first. Is this one? You said this one's less sweet or same?
That one should be more buttery.
Buttery.
And again, you're going to put all of these back in your fridge tonight, and you basically have food for the whole week now.
It's definitely more buttery.
Yeah. I freaking love that meal. I've done a few trips in Europe, and muesli is kind of a popular breakfast option in European countries. And so, again, that meal just has a soft spot in my heart because it reminds me of my Europe trips.
Yeah, and it's got like it's got the nuts and the pumpkin seeds in there, so it's got different texture. You got that crunch in there, which is really good.
Yeah, that's a good one that you can also add cold water to and just let it sit overnight. So if anybody's trying to go stoveless, that would be a great option for them. You are
All
going to
right.
be full.
I've only had like 3 or 4 bites of each, so we're good. Okay, Morning Glory, pineapple, carrots, another adventurous breakfast ingredient. But I
You're a
love
vegetables
carrots.
hunter.
I love carrots. I just never really have them for breakfast, I gotta say.
Yeah, I'm not sure why I have such an affinity for, kind of these more adventurous flavors, but just don't want to be that predictable.
This is really good. It has more of like kind of a, it's definitely different with the carrots, but it's still got that kind of traditional like cinnamon, brown sugar kind of taste to it.
Totally. Yeah, that one's, I think my personal favorites right now are the Morning Glory oatmeal, the spinach curry with chicken and rice, and then still the blueberry almond packaroons. Those are probably what I'll be eating this weekend while we're out fishing.
And that crunch in the carrot is like a very unique, distinct, like, again, I only let these things heat up for, you saw, like maybe a couple minutes, but I think you're right. Like the dehydrating, like it's just, it has the texture of like a real carrot. I feel like I'm eating like, these didn't feel like backpacking meals at all. Actually, I think I'm more stoked about your breakfasts than, I mean, I'm stoked about these too, but I really like these. These are great. I think this one's my favorite.
It's good.
The Summer Harvest is probably my favorite. And then this one, and then I like this one too. It's just like, I like sweet stuff. And these are a little sweeter.
Yeah.
Those are bomb. All right. So, Packaroons, my favorite are the black espresso, the mint chocolate, and I really like that espresso. Wait, no. What's the one you got rid of? Oh, spiced cocoa? Is that what it was?
I know. Yeah.
That's
Spice
okay.
cocoa went away.
It's okay. Are there some new flavors? I tried to pick the new ones. I wasn't 100% sure. Is lemon lavender new?
No, but I
No.
think Snickerdoodle. Do you have a
Okay,
Snickerdoodle
yep,
one?
right here.
That's the only new one, but we do have seasonal Packaroon flavors coming out again this year.
Yes, I tried the ginger snap one. That one was really good. I mean, that was like ginger punch in the face. I'm gonna try. I think I've actually tried this one because you brought a bunch of these to the expo,
Oh, that's right.
and you were like, just like prancing around, like throwing Packaroons everywhere.
Just a Packaroon fairy. That's how I roll at these trade shows.
This
It's
is
the
a
fun.
Snickeroon, or wait,
Ooh, I
Snickerdoodle.
like Snickeroon. That's fun.
What is a Snickerdoodle? I forget.
It's a vanilla and cinnamon cookie. So you probably see them at coffee shops. They're these big, fat, round cookies, and they're probably terrible for you. But our version of a Snickerdoodle is a Packaroon just with boatloads of vanilla and cinnamon.
Yeah, and tell people. So some people may not know what a Packaroon is. What, just briefly, like basically, what's a Packaroon?
Yes, a Packaroon is a coconut cookie for your backpack. So they are made with organic shredded coconut, organic maple syrup, almond flour, sea salt, vanilla, and then we jazz them up with different spices and fruits. And honestly, Packaroons kind of have a life of their own. We consider them our gateway drug. So it's kind of how we get people hooked on the brand. And I don't know why. I really don't know what it is that has made Packaroons so popular. But I honestly, if I had to take a stab at it, I think it's that they're loaded with good quality fats versus a lot of snack foods that are maybe a lot higher in sugar or refined carbohydrates. And Packaroons, because they're so full of coconut and they have tons of medium chain triglyceride fats in them, they actually give you some really good sustained energy. And they're delicious, but I don't know
really are
exactly
good.
what it is.
And I was a little hesitant at first because I'm actually not a huge coconut fan. I've become more of a coconut. I used to hate it like when I was younger. As I've gotten older, I've become a little bit more of a coconut fan, but like still I'm not a huge coconut fan. But like the way you guys make these, like they don't, I mean the sweet coconut one tastes like coconut if you're into coconut, but like they don't really taste like coconut.
Yeah. There's tons and tons of flavor. I feel like that's kind of indicative of our whole adventure menu. The flavors are bold.
Yeah,
in everything that we make. It's
for sure.
not your basic chicken and rice. You know,
Yeah,
it's not really our style.
yeah, absolutely. And like that's something that you put in a hard day hiking, like having a like yummy meal to look forward to at the end of the day is actually really nice, especially when you're like cold and wet.
Yeah,
Um,
totally.
I just had this blueberry almond packaroon. It almost like a little muffin or something. Like you could just
Yeah.
pair that with your breakfast. That'd be a nice little. And the other thing is like I think you might have mentioned it, but they're like pretty calorie dense for like a little snack, like which is good when you're when you're working. So I'm not gonna try them now because I've already eaten them and I want to save these. To be quite honest with you, selfishly. But for people who are listening, the mint chocolate is really good. I love that one. The black espresso is really good. Those are my two favorites, I think. But I don't think I've ever had one I don't like. So, um, so this is awesome. I'm really excited. Like I said, I'm really excited about your breakfast stuff. Definitely going to be ordering some more of those. And these three are my favorite of these guys. So definitely going to be putting some of those in the pack this year. But like for people who I'm sure a lot of people have heard of you and heard of Heather's Choice, but for people who may not have, just like, there's a lot of, especially now, it seems like there's more and more like food companies coming out and stuff. Like what makes Heather's Choice different? Why should someone get a Heather's Choice instead of just, some random whatever they find?
Yeah, totally. So I one of the big pieces that I think makes our menu and what we offer so different is the fact that it's dehydrated instead of freeze dried. So even as we look at those meals on your table, you can
Hmm.
see that they're quite a bit smaller than
Yeah.
everything else that you're going to buy. So that was one of the core tenets for me in developing Heather's Choice was that I wanted to save as much packed space as possible. So dehydrated food does pack down smaller than freeze dried. So that was some of the feedback we got in the really early days, especially from the hunting community, was that people were super fired up that they could pack 10 days worth of food and it took about a third of the space compared
Mm.
to freeze dried food. So
Hmm.
that's one piece. Another really big
Because
piece
everyone
is
like freaks out about weight, but actually
right.
volume is actually really a big deal too.
Totally,
Yeah.
totally, totally. Our entire adventure menu is 100% gluten free, and our
Mm.
whole facility is gluten free. So, for the person that has celiac disease or is gluten intolerant, like we got those people covered.
Nice.
And then another piece
I
that
didn't
I'm
know
not
rice
sure.
was gluten free.
Yeah. Yep. Rice
Nice.
and gluten free oats.
So I guess
Oh,
gluten only comes from processed carbs.
it comes from anything like wheat, barley, rye.
Okay.
There's certain grains that contain
Gotcha.
gluten.
Okay.
Yeah. I have a background in sports nutrition. So, in the developing of all these meals, for me, there's a really strong emphasis on making sure that somebody like you, who's healthy, active, fit, wants to feel their best, like each one of these meals is really nutritionally balanced. So,
Hmm.
you're going to get a good amount of protein, you're going to get a bunch of complex carbohydrates, and then good quality fats. So, a lot of companies will use things like canola oil, soybean oil, grapeseed oil, things of that nature
Hmm.
that are really high in omega-6 fatty acids that are pro-inflammatory. We go through the extra effort and the extra expense
Yeah.
to use things like ghee, olive oil, coconut oil, those
Mm.
fats that are actually going to be really
So
nourishing
you're
for your
not using
body.
seed oils.
Yep, exactly.
Nice.
Makes a big difference. And
Yeah.
you know that from your everyday life.
And I gotta say, like, my stomach is very, how do I say this? Reactive, I guess. Like, if I eat something that doesn't agree with me, I know it like almost immediately. And to be honest, quite a few foods don't necessarily agree with me very well. And it's anecdotal. We've only been here for like an hour. Well, we've been here almost an hour. I feel great right now. Like even though I only had like 3 or 4 bites of each, I'm not hungry anymore, and I don't have my stomach's not making weird noises, which it does a lot of times with other stuff that I eat. So again, that's just anecdotal, but it seems to be agreeing with me so far.
Yeah. We get lots and lots and lots of emails from people about their bowel movements. It happens all the time. Yeah,
That's
Quinn, who works in
hilarious.
customer service, I bet half the emails she responds to are people being like, "Oh my gosh, I had such better bowel movements on my trip. Thank you so much."
Wow, that's a little bit TMI, but that's okay. Um, that's awesome. And one thing I do want to ask about, um, you have some of these meals coming out now that are like, oh, 1,200 calories or like 1,500 calories and stuff, and like, um, your meals have a little bit lower calories. Now, is that an intentional thing, or is it just because of the nature of the ingredients, or why is that?
That's a really good question. So, what my intention is for each one of these meals is that they are a good, healthy single serving because I don't like to share my food. And I feel like a lot of people want to be able to go on a trip and do either a solo trip or just like take care of their own food.
Hmm.
And I feel like there's quite a few companies that offer two serving meals, right?
Yeah,
But
or
it's
like two
like,
and a half.
yeah, and it's too much for one person, but not enough for two people.
Yeah.
Like,
Or
I
you
don't.
like you sit there and you're kind of hungry and it's like a huge bag. I'm talking about Mountain House, just transparency. Um, and you crush the whole thing and then you feel kind of gross after because it's like it's actually way too much food, but you ate it because it was there. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah, I've had that experience on a backcountry trip, bringing like a freeze dried bean and rice dish of some sort, something that I grabbed on the way out of town at REI probably.
Yeah.
And just it was so much volume that I couldn't eat it all. But then what do you do with it? Right. Especially if you're in bear country, you're like, my only
Yeah.
option is like to eat this. Otherwise, I got to carry it out of here. So definitely want to give people a good, healthy single serving. And I think you already said it. It's really difficult digestively to get through 1,200 calories in a sitting of real food,
Yeah.
right? Like
Yeah.
I'm sure you can probably burn 3,500, 4,000 calories a day in the backcountry, but if you were to eat that in like smaller, more
Yeah.
punctuated amounts,
Right.
digestively you would fare a lot better than trying to crush all those calories in one single
Yeah.
sitting.
And most people are snacking throughout the day, like on a backcountry hunt. The other thing too, I notice is like I hate to pick on Mountain House. It's just that's the one I've been eating a lot of lately because I got a bunch of them for free from my dad. Like he was in this like you know end times prepper phase for a while and bought me like 15 cases of Mountain House as emergency meals. So I was like, oh, okay. Um, but anyway, all I was trying to say is like for example, if you have a Mountain House rice and chicken, I think it's 2.5 servings, but you'll have like 5 or 7 pieces of chicken and just like a buttload of rice, basically, and then seed oils and like a lot of sodium. Whereas like with your meals, I feel like even though they're smaller, you're getting a lot more stuff, like less filler. Like I noticed with all of these, like with the curry, like it almost like was a mouthful of chicken, like almost every bite.
Yeah.
Same with like the chili and everything. It's just like they're more dense almost.
Yeah, I think that that's really accurate. And, from a business perspective, like what would be one way to cut costs really fast is to cut down on the amount of protein in every meal. And again, from the nutrition standpoint, I'm like, if it doesn't have at least a 4 ounce portion of protein per
Yeah,
meal, it's not a meal in my mind.
for
you
sure.
know?
Yeah. And like you said, I mean, your ingredients are like, was it? I think you have on here grass-fed bison, grass-fed beef. Like, you're obviously not going out and buying the cheapest stuff, like one step up from dog food that you can find.
Right, totally. Yeah, and I think that that's we're still here after 8 years because people are looking for quality, right?
Yeah.
Like again, I think of you as the perfect Heather's Choice customer because you do eat healthy year round and you do exercise and you do care about how you feel and how you perform.
Yeah.
And that's really our core customer is somebody who eats healthy at home,
Right.
is now going on extended backcountry trips and wants to maintain that level of health and satisfaction and performance
Yeah.
out in the backcountry.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I never quite understand. Like, I understand that you burn a lot of calories in the backcountry, but like, I never quite understood the guys that will train hard all year and eat clean, and then go in the backcountry with a bunch of Snickers and like just a bunch of junk. I'm not saying you can't eat candy every now and then, but like, I just never understood like eating a bunch of garbage that you don't normally eat, or even if it's whatever it may be. Like, eat similarly when you're in the backcountry. Your system's gonna feel better. And just coming back from this bear hunt, with Mark and Ryan Lampers and those guys, like, again, I was trying to save money. I did bring a couple Heather's Choice meals, but I just had some free Mountain House, so it's hard to say no to like free stuff sitting around. But I actually gained weight on that trip, and like we were, I don't, I now granted part of it was because I had 3 solid days of driving on either end, but like we were working hard and like, and when I got home, like my legs had like almost like edema. They were so swollen, and so I don't know. I think there's a lot to be said about quality ingredients and not eating too much, honestly. I mean,
Right.
yeah. So,
Yeah, I think that there's a lot of those little subtle ways that our body tries to communicate with us, right? Like if we were
yeah.
just talking front country nutrition and what you eat on the day to day, like there's just a lot of little things, whether it's digestively or like you say, it's kind of like edema or it's joint pain or
Mm-hmm.
it's lagging energy, it's poor mood, it's poor sleep. Like so many of those you can point back to what you're eating.
Yeah.
And I feel like there's going to be a whole reality for me someday where I just stand on my soapbox and just talk about nutrition because it's so important and I
Oh, yeah,
witness it every freaking day. Like
for sure.
even my partner Brad, like he is a tall, slender, healthy 37-year-old male and like if he doesn't eat well, like I notice it in him, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I mean, if I'm not actively watching what I eat, I just gain weight.
Yeah.
Like my body type or whatever. I was talking to Brady at Go Hunt the other day. Like, if I'm not tracking what I'm eating, I'll just gain weight. That's just my body
Yeah.
type. So I got to be careful. But anyway, well, this is awesome. I appreciate you sending me this stuff. I'm definitely going to be loading up on some breakfast meals and a couple of these ones as well. Um, Tell me, you said you got your moose hunt. You got anything else on the horizon? Any cool adventures coming up?
I have an adventure that is currently under wraps. I will
Okay.
share that in October, and you will give me so much shit for it, and it will be so fun.
Wait, why would I give you crap for it?
Because it's an athletic endeavor that I'm
Okay.
undertaking, and you would never guess what it is, and
I
I'm
mean, you
I'm
do look
keeping
kind
it a
of
surprise.
ripped. I'm not gonna lie. An athletic.
I'm
Oh man, you got
I'm
me.
training.
Can you
Yep.
give me a hint or no?
No. Nope. You're just gonna have to wait till October and we'll reconnect
October.
again and we'll talk
Okay.
all things nutrition and training.
Okay. That sounds good. That sounds good. What are your favorite? What would people like? Where should people start if they want to just maybe get one or two? What would you recommend your favorite things?
I feel like that grass-fed bison chili is just a home run for a lot of people.
Yeah.
Chili's kind of that warming meal that you would want on a backcountry trip. So I
Mm-hmm.
think that's a winner. That morning glory oatmeal, as I like witness the people here at Heather's Choice, like
Yeah.
people reach for that one really often.
Yeah.
And like you said, the black espresso packaroons are a home run.
They are. I'm surprised, but I actually like the zucchini one. That's my
Yeah,
favorite.
it's good, isn't it?
It was good. All right.
Get your
Well,
vegetables in.
yeah, yeah. So, anyway, thanks again, Heather. I appreciate you coming on. Guys, if you want to order Heather's Choice, you can go to your website, just heatherschoice.com, right?
Yep, that's us.
And, Heather's on Instagram. We can probably find out more about her personally. Also, Go Hunt sells Heather's Choice meals. I have a deal with Go Hunt and with Heather's Choice. You can use code Quest at both places and save money on Heather's Choice meals and help support the show. So if you're going to try it, I do ask that you please help me out. Use that code Quest. And yeah, I don't know. Anything I missed, Heather, that you want to mention before we go?
No, I really appreciate you being willing to do this. And it's like you
Yeah,
said, it's really fun that we've
it was
developed a
fun.
friendship over the internet over the
I
last
know.
year.
I know. I've only seen you one time in person, but yeah, we're like old buds. So yeah, definitely looking forward to taking some of your meals. I got a bunch of stuff planned this year, so I'm gonna need to stay properly fueled. So looking forward to it.
Perfect.
And then I'm heading
Yeah,
to Alaska in 23. I
we'll
told you
be
about that,
here.
right?
Yeah, I think there's going to be quite a few folks that are coming up here in 2023 and I'm excited
Okay.
for it. We
All
will be
right.
here.
Cool. Well, anyway, good talking to you again.
Thank you.
All right.